The battlefield was quiet, too quiet. Sergeant Lucas Ghost Kane lay prone on a ridge, his sniper rifle perfectly camouflaged against the dusty terrain of the border planet Tarsus IV. The only movement came from the shimmer of heat waves rippling over the desert sands. He liked it quiet. Quiet meant fewer surprises. At least until they arrived. The first sign of trouble was the ship, a sleek, black craft that screamed predator. It sliced through the atmosphere and landed with a menacing hiss, its matte finish absorbing the weak sunlight. Lucas adjusted the scope of his rifle, zooming in on the newcomers as the ship's ramp lowered. 4 figures emerged, each one an alien that could star in anyone's worst nightmare. One was a hulking brute, nearly 10 feet tall, with skin that shimmered like molten metal. Another had a long, serpentine body coiled around itself, its many eyes darting in all directions. The third was small, almost childlike, but carried a cannon so oversized it was comical, if it wasn't aimed at him. The fourth was humanoid but had an unsettling aura, its face obscured by a helmet adorned with glowing glyphs. Lucas grinned. Well, this is new. He reached for the small communicator clipped to his vest. Command, you seen this? Static answered him, followed by a clipped voice. We see it, Ghost. Intel says they're bounty hunters. High level. Looks like someone put a price on your head. Lucas chuckled, low and dry. Flattering. Any idea who sent them? Negative. But if they're after you, you're not sticking around. Evac is en route. Lucas shifted his gaze back to the bounty hunters, now spreading out across the terrain. With all due respect, Command, I think I'll hang around a bit longer. They came all this way, seems rude not to say hello. Ghost? But Lucas cut the line. He didn't have time for debates. He slung his rifle over his shoulder and moved silently down the ridge, his boots barely disturbing the sand. The bounty hunters were good, he'd give them that. They moved with precision, covering each other's blind spots and advancing like a well-oiled machine. But Lucas was better. He'd been a sniper for over a decade, and on the battlefield, he was a ghost in every sense of the word. He picked his first target carefully, the small one with the oversized cannon. From his vantage point in the shadows of a rock formation, Lucas lined up his shot. He exhaled slowly and squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, and the small alien dropped, the cannon clattering to the ground. The other 3 reacted instantly, taking cover and scanning for his position. Lucas was already on the move, circling around to a new vantage point. The serpentine alien hissed, its many eyes scanning
Lucas
the ridges.
replied.
You're the best in the
human.
galaxy,
Show
yada
yourself.
yada.
I've
Lucas
heard it
couldn't
before.
resist. The
He
brute
tapped
tapped
his
his
communicator
communicator
to
to
broadcast
broadcast
on
on
an
an
open
open frequency.
We are not to be
You're awfully
trifled with,
chatty for
human.
a target.
We
The
will crush
alien
you.
recoiled,
Lucas
whipping its head
smirked.
around.
Funny.
You dare mock
Your buddy
us?
back there looked
Do you
pretty
not know who
trifled
we
to me.
are? The battle became a deadly game of cat and mouse. The bounty hunters hunted him relentlessly, their advanced tech giving them an edge. Thermal scanners, motion trackers, even drones that patrolled the skies. But Lucas had more than enough tricks up his sleeve. At one point, the brute thought it had him cornered in a narrow canyon. It charged with a roar, its massive fist swinging. Lucas, perched on a ledge above, casually dropped a grenade into its path. The explosion sent the alien flying backward, landing in a heap. Should have looked up, Lucas muttered. The helmeted alien proved the most challenging. It was the leader, clearly, and it was smart, too smart. It didn't waste energy chasing him like the others. Instead, it studied him, setting traps and laying ambushes. Lucas had to admit, it was almost fun. Almost. He found himself in a standoff with the leader in the ruins of an old mining outpost. The alien's voice, distorted by its helmet, echoed through the empty buildings. You're impressive, human. But this ends now. Lucas leaned against a wall, wiping sweat from his brow. You keep saying that, but here we are. The alien raised a glowing blade, its edges crackling with energy. Lucas eyed it warily. Fancy toy. Compensating for something? The alien charged, and Lucas dodged, narrowly avoiding the blade as it sliced through the wall like butter. He retaliated with his combat knife, but the alien was fast, parrying his strikes with ease. The fight was brutal, but Lucas thrived in chaos. He grabbed a handful of sand and flung it into the alien's visor, momentarily blinding it. Pocket sand, he quipped, rolling away and grabbing his rifle. By the time Lucas took down the serpentine alien, courtesy of a well-placed tripwire and a strategically positioned rockslide, only the leader remained. The two faced off in a final confrontation under the blazing sun. The alien removed its helmet, revealing a face that was surprisingly human-like. It stared at him with cold, calculating eyes. "You are a formidable adversary, Sergeant Kane. I can see why they fear you." Lucas shrugged. "I get that a lot." The alien raised a hand, and a sleek pistol materialized from a hidden compartment in its armor. Lucas didn't flinch, his own rifle trained on the alien. For a moment, there was silence, broken only by the howling wind. Then the alien spoke. "I will give you a chance, human. Surrender, and I will let you live." Lucas grinned. "Tempting. But I think I'll pass." The two fired simultaneously. The alien's shot grazed Lucas's shoulder, but his bullet hit its mark, right between the alien's eyes. The leader fell, its pistol clattering to the ground. Lucas sat down heavily, clutching his bleeding shoulder. "They always miss," he muttered, "and I never do." An hour later, the evac shuttle arrived. Lucas climbed aboard, his rifle slung over his good shoulder. The pilot glanced at him, eyes wide. "Is it true? You took down all 4 of them?" Lucas leaned back in his seat, exhausted but satisfied. "Yep. Told them not to bother, but they didn't listen." The pilot shook his head, laughing. "You're a legend, Ghost?" Lucas smirked, closing his eyes as the shuttle lifted off. "Just another day at the office." As the shuttle disappeared into the sky, the wreckage of the bounty hunter's ship lay silent. But deep within the remains, a small beacon began to blink, a signal sent to whoever had hired them. Somewhere far away, a shadowy figure received the message and smiled. "Impressive. Let's see how he handles the next wave."